Imagine awakening from a dream, but your eyes are still shut. You feel a frigid sensation, reminiscent of ice blocks wrapped around your wrists. This cold forces your eyes open and brings you to the reality of your situation. You are shackled and a prisoner of your worst enemy. How did it come to this? After your monumental victory against the Turks, emboldened by your successes, you and Count Meldrich pressed onward, determined to carve a path through the chaos. Your journey led you to a narrow mountain pass near Rottenton. There, a hidden force of 40,000 men lay in wait. The ambush was devastating. Outnumbered and surrounded, your troops fought valiantly, but the outcome was inevitable. Most of your men were slain or grievously wounded. Only a small remnant, led by Count Meldrich, managed to escape, forced to swim a river to avoid certain death.
I was badly wounded in the battle, left for dead among the fallen. But the Turks, discovering me alive and noting my fine dress and armor, spared me, believing I was a noble of rank. Instead of granting me a quick death, they intended to make me suffer a more degrading fate. My wounds were tended, and once recovered, I was sold as a slave in the marketplace. My buyer was Bashor Bogle, who sent me as a gift to his mistress, Dragobigzanda, in Constantinople, falsely telling her I was a captured Bohemian nobleman. Thus began a new and perilous chapter of my life, one marked by hardship and captivity far from the raucous battlefields I once knew. But to my fortune, my Turkish mistress was struck by my noble bearing and took an interest in me. We soon learned we were able to communicate in Italian. Shortly thereafter, she heard the truth of my capture. Far from the Bohemian nobleman she had been told, I revealed myself as an Englishman of good family, a soldier of fortune who had fallen in battle near Rottenton. Captivated by my story and character, she resolved to protect me, fearing I might be mistreated or sold again. But when she sent me to her brother, Timur, the Bashor of Nalbrights, along with a letter pleading for my kind treatment and confessing her growing affection for me, her plan backfired terribly. Enraged that his sister would care for a Christian slave, Timur flew into a fury. He stripped me of my dignity, shaving my head and beard, locking an iron collar around my neck, and dressing me in coarse haircloth before sending me to labor among other enslaved Christians. Despite the harsh conditions, I refused to let my spirit break. While those around me despaired, I clung to the hope of freedom, watching constantly for a chance to escape. That chance came one day, while I was threshing corn alone at a remote farmhouse. My cruel master arrived in a fit of rage, striking and kicking me without mercy. My fury matched his, and I could endure no more. With the flail in my hands, I struck him down, knocking him senseless. The weight of the moment pressed heavily upon me, but I acted swiftly, stealing his clothes, hiding his body, and disguising myself as best I could. I mounted his horse and rode into the wilderness, free once more. The days that followed were a blur of hardship and fear. Lost in the desert, I wandered without food or water, fortunate not to encounter anyone who might recognize me as a runaway slave. Eventually, I reached a crossroads, where a signpost pointed toward Russia. I followed the path with what strength I had left, finally arriving at Ecopolis on the Don River. There, a Russian garrison took me in, removing my iron collar and giving me letters of introduction. From there, my journey took me through Russia and Poland. Everywhere I went, I was welcomed with kindness, for those who heard my story marveled at my escape and resilience. In Transylvania, I reunited with my old comrades, who were understandably in shock at my return. We rejoiced like that of someone who was lost forever, and the prince himself gave me a generous gift to repair my losses. It was a beautiful moment. Yet despite their hospitality, a longing began to pull at me, the longing for home. I yearned to see England again. For who loves not the spot where he was born and where he played in his boyhood? I passed through France, Germany, and Spain, but my restless spirit found no peace. News of a civil war in Morocco tempted me back into military life, and I sailed there hoping to find a cause worth fighting for. But when I arrived, I found nothing but chaos and empty promises. Disillusioned, I finally boarded a ship bound for home. Fate, however, would not let me go so easily. Spanish warships attacked us on the voyage, and once again I found myself in the thick of battle. By God's grace, we escaped the bloodshed with victory, and at last I set foot on English soil. My return was met with utter joy and relief by friends and family, eager to hear of my incredible adventures. Yet even as I settled into the comforts of home, I felt the stirrings of something greater, a call to new challenges. The New World was on every tongue. Tales of the riches of a paradise across the waters, echoed by Columbus' travels, and those who came after, including an attempt to colonize the coast of Roanoke. Bartholomew Gosnold and others spoke of untapped lands and endless opportunities across the Atlantic. It was not long before I joined them. With a royal patent from the king secured to settle in Virginia, I set sail with my companions on December 19, 1606, bound for the unknown. The journey was not without trials. Delays and tensions aboard the ship tested our resolve. But nothing could dim my anticipation of what lay ahead. I joined the expedition to the New World, but I found myself once again at the mercy of others. Tensions ran high aboard the ships. A man of my accolades and likeness apparently caused envy and distrust. Disagreements with the ship's leaders soon turned against me. I was imprisoned, shackled as though I were still a slave, though this time not by enemies, but by my own countrymen. For weeks, I endured the humiliation and despair of captivity, locked away while the ship sailed into the unknown. The crew had yelled to hang me. Yet, even shivering in the dark and wrapped in chains, I refused to let my spirit break. I knew my worth and trusted that my time would come. That moment arrived when we finally reached the shores of the New World. I was to be executed, but as we anchored in Chesapeake Bay, the sealed orders from King James were opened. To everyone's astonishment, the documents bore my name among those chosen to help govern the new colony. In the space of mere hours, I went from prisoner to a leader by royal appointment, King James's chosen. The men who had once scorned me were forced to acknowledge my position, and I stepped ashore not as a captive, but as a man of purpose. Whatever trials lay ahead in this untamed land, I would face them with my head held high. From slave to King James's chosen council, my journey was far from over.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed John Smith's adventure with us, please like, comment, and subscribe. Some of the original artwork from the voyages of John Smith are included in this video, and there is more to come in his next chapter. Stay tuned.